Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I am Sunique and this is my latest video on the Decan walk that I've been on since last November. I will put a link to the playlist below the video so you can see how I'm doing so far. Anyway, now we're on to the lovely Ten of Swords. And this is running from the 11th to around the 21st of June. Approximately, so it does encompass the summer solstice, which is quite appropriate for the sun card, isn't it? So as I said, we've got the Lovers and we've got the Sun as the major arcana associated with this card, and we see the Sun as a positive energy in the tarot, and the Lovers too, really. You know, we have a choice here with the Lovers, which is one of the main keywords that I use myself. And here we have beautiful sun energy. So why such a negative image from the combination of these two cards? It's what's going on here. I mean, in the Thoth deck, we call the card the Lord of Ruin. And in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we've got a figure lying face down with 10 swords in the back. So yeah, quite, you know, negative looking images there. The crystals associated with these cards in the Crystal Magic Tarot, which I will show later on in the video. For the Lovers, we have tourmalated quartz, which is this one. So we've got bits of tourmaline encased in quartz. So that really expands the energy of the tourmaline. For the Sun, we have citrine, and I thought I'd get this sphere out because I thought that was quite appropriate for the Sun. So that's our citrine. For the Ten of Swords itself, we have kyanite, black kyanite. Kyanite does come in other colours, and this is sometimes called actually the Witch's Broom. And it's got like, I suppose you could see it as a broom at the end there, with all those shards. There. I've got 3 pieces of that to show you. 2, 3, yeah. Okay, for now I just want to have a little quick look at the astrological correspondences to see if it throws some light onto the reasons behind the energies of this Decan. For the astrology cards, I've actually decided this time to use the Celestial Bodies Astrology and Numerology Oracle Deck and Guidebook by Wolfe. And I thought, to go alongside that, why not use the tarot decks from the same person? So I have the Serpentfire Tarot and the Wolfe Tarot, which I do believe are these are all the decks that she's produced, although there are different versions. I know there's different versions of the Wolfe Tarot. I haven't got the one with David Bowie in it, unfortunately, but the Serpentfire one I have got Stevie Nicks, so I'm not complaining. Can't have everything, can you? So, for our Sun, let's find the image here. From the astrology deck is the image for the Sun, and it's actually shown with other planets there. And Devani talks about the fact that the Sun will not be here forever. And it's masculine energy. So here we have a masculine card to go with that. Then for the Lovers, that is assigned to Gemini. So here we have Gemini. And we can see the duality there with the black and white staircase. There's a little portal, a door at the bottom there, and steps going up to what looks like another portal at the top. and I'm not quite sure what's in that portal. And maybe, oh, I think it's a door. It's another door. Yes, it is. Because I was going to say maybe that's the point. We're not supposed to see what's in that portal, but I think that looks to me like another door. And interestingly enough, so I do believe it's a mutable sign. And the mutable card here has the same staircase. Isn't that amazing? And it actually has the same door. It has someone actually climbing that staircase. Another portal there. The same wings. And the portal, the door there, the rainbow bridge at the top. So those are the cards for Gemini. Then the masculine sun. Now then, let's talk a little bit about the Thoth card first. And the one thing that is quite noticeable on the Thoth card is that although it is, you know, we have the sun here for the sun and Gemini that this card is associated with, we've also got a lot of other symbols here. And most notably, we've got the scales of Libra at the top, which I found quite confusing. Why have Libra on the top there? Well, apparently it is something to do with the way astrology works, where there are 4 groups with 3 signs in each group. Now, I'm not an astrologer, I don't pretend to understand a lot of this, so let's just take their words for it. But apparently that is the reason why. So if you look a little bit at Libra itself here, Libra is associated with Saturn. So these are those 2 cards here. As I say, this imagery is absolutely gorgeous. We have some crystals at the bottom there. And Saturn is all about restrictions. I mean, I've spoken about Saturn before in relation to other cards aligned to Saturn. But the thing about it is it's all about control. And, you know, if we look at this here, it would seem that the figure here is being controlled by a lot of negativity. Because remember, swords aren't physical swords. They're a metaphor for our words and our thoughts. So, you know, literally stabbed in the back, which is why one of the meanings for this card is about gossip and maliciousness against a person. That actually pierces us right through the heart, because you might see that the actual sword that goes through the heart there, the heart chakra, is embedded a lot deeper than the others. And so it's really heartfelt pain. So if you look at the Thoth card, there's a heart there in the middle as well. This image here, by the by, is the tree of life, all 10 around. And this is Tiferet, this is the heart centre. And what is interesting to me is the way that sword is broken there in the heart centre. And it speaks to me of the fact that when we are feeling hurt and betrayed or gossiped about or those sort of feelings, we do tend to harden our heart. And maybe we've become so hardened against the world that even those swords, which are words, can't pierce it. They can't get through. They can't get to us anymore because, you know, we've protected ourselves, we've built our walls, and nothing's getting through. So that was my thought on the Thoth card. The hilts of the cards also have different things on them. We've got, I don't know if you can see this on these top ones here, there are compasses, you know, that you use to measure. So the same on each side. And so with a compass we can actually draw our boundaries, and maybe that goes back again to the heart, and we've put boundaries in place now so we can't get hurt again. Also, if you notice on each side of this, the hilts are echoed on each side. So that's the Libra balance, I would imagine. You know, we're trying to balance things out here. But then this force of the sun is so much, it's clarified that we can't not see what we've seen anymore. We are totally, totally aware now of what's happening around us. And maybe this is our reaction to it. We've just gone, nope, I've got spikes here, I'm defending myself, I've lost my faith. If you actually look at these swords here, they seem to have a cross, which reminds me of a religion, and then that reminds me of faith. And so maybe we've lost our faith in the world, in our lives, in our friends, and, you know, those that have treated us less kindly. And so we've hardened up. And here we've got a moon at the bottom, which sort of signifies to me that we actually haven't got all the information. We are maybe reacting rather than acting. We haven't got the full picture because the moon has dark sides, and so we can't always see the truth of what's going on. And maybe that's why that void is up there, that real black void. Is not to say it's night time as such, but to say that there's things we're not aware of, and we may be overreacting here. And of course we've got the light there. Is that a dawn? Is it a sunrise? Is it a sunset? And also lying prone on the ground like that, we are still protecting our heart, aren't we? We're protecting the heart space because we've got it down on the earth. We're grounded. And what happens when we get too much sun, when we get too much clarity? We see everything truthfully. We see everything for what it is. And it can immobilise us. And I think that's what's happening in this card here. This person here is totally immobilised. And I do understand that, you know, when words are said to us that hit home, that we think, is that really how I'm seen? Is that really what you think of me? It's hard to get up from that sometimes, you know. It floors you, quite literally. You're floored, as in on the floor. I don't mean floored as in there's something wrong, F-L-A-W. I mean floored as in F-L-O-O-R, actually on the floor. And you just find it really difficult to carry on. I think the advice for it really is just to be patient, you know. Don't act, don't react, just let this situation blow over. And don't fuel the fire because it's hot, you know. And if you add energy to it, then that's not going to be a good outcome. But lack of air or lack of thought will consume it. Fire can't burn if it hasn't got oxygen, if it hasn't got energy to fuel it. And maybe that's the best way of going about things, you know, in these sort of situations. Crowley says it's about the ruin of intellect and morality. Too much thought. You know, what's reason divorced from reality is another way he puts it. The way our mind is thinking and reasoning things out isn't real. It doesn't equate to what's really happening. It equates to what we're thinking about it, how we perceive it. And I think this goes back to the reptilian brain, the lizard brain, which is, you know, the one that wants to help us to survive. And so our thoughts have left us paralysed, unable to move. Picking over old bones, eh? Final straw that broke the camel's back. So whatever it is we've discovered, whatever it is that has shone a light on the situation, I think we need to ask ourselves, is it real? Is it factual? Or is it imaginary? So for the sun, here we have quite a positive card, I think, for our sun energy in the she-wolf. But when we go to the Serpentfire, you can see the strong, strong masculine energy of the sun. It's overpowering, it's overbearing, it's too much. We're in a desert landscape here. So instead of actually sunbathing and enjoying it, it's now become too hot, too much. And what happens when we have too much sun? Well, last Tuesday it was a thunderstorm. We had one heck of a thunderstorm, and you know that does tend to happen when there is too much heat. Too much heat makes things volatile. It can lead to arguments, you know, heated exchanges, that sort of thing. And if we're talking about lovers, as in partnerships and friendships, then too much heat in a relationship will burn out really fast, won't it? And then we're left with the heated words, and yeah, we've been hurt, really. So I think that's how they align. If we look at the Lovers card here, so we've got the She-Wolf and the Serpentfire once again. And again, we've got duality, like the Gemini energy is clearly depicted in these two. And for the Ten of Swords themselves, this is the She-Wolf and this is the Serpentfire. It's making funny patterns. And so I think what I'll do is I'll just read out the books for these two, not all of the book. So we have here distorted mirrors. So as you can see, it's getting very confusing. Even just looking at it through the camera, you can see, you know, it sort of gets confusing there. It's a bit like when you iron stripes. If you ever iron stripes, your eyes go really funny. And we've got snakes in each corner. Snake. So it's the Sun and Moon in Gemini, according to this guidebook. And it's called the Hall of Distorted Mirrors. So yeah, it's distorted thinking, isn't it? We're not thinking straight. 4 snakes in a corridor encroach upon a central spiral. This card reflects an uncomfortable state of mind, feeling upset, depressed, angry and agitated in our own skin. So maybe like the snake, we should actually shed those skins. The walls feel like they are closing in and we may feel like giving up. Like our friend here, who's totally given up. We may be fearing for our own sanity and may feel like lashing out. During times like these, we have to look to what we can control, which is our own perspective. So we have perspectives here. It's a brilliant card, isn't it? The mind is a slippery thing, but with much practice, we can learn to tame the untamed beast. Isn't that brilliant? In a nutshell, that is, yeah, that is the Ten of Swords energy. Sun in Gemini. Abyss, uncertainty, going all the way. Snakes there. In this simple arrangement, a woman falls amongst a variety of snakes. The serpents represent 2 things in this card, wisdom and fear. So I presume that applies to this one as well. So Devonese chose to use snakes in both cards. And she said, sometimes what we hope for scares us. With this card we are falling to the very bottom of our void and will either be consumed by a feather bed or hit bedrock. Either way, truths have come to light and we will be expelled. We must be careful not to go overboard and expect painful things to happen just because something good also took place. The balancing act is not always so severe and keeps score. With the energy verging back on the ace, there is hope that new good things are on the horizon, and they always are. We only just need to go through the last phases of discomfort. So there we go, discomfort and disillusionment. So those are Devonese cards. Beautiful. So let's just take a little look at a few other decks just to illustrate a few points. First of all, the Cosmic Tribe Tarot. Now then, this is Stevie Postman, text by Eric Gunther. I'm going to put a warning here. There's nudity in this image, but I'm showing it for a reason, and it's a male figure lying on his back and he is naked. So if that's not something that you want to see, or you've got children around or whatever, then pause the video now and fast forward it to the next bit. So fair warning. Okay. And there's a reason why I am showing this, and it's about the sun, and the sun being about exposure. Now there is a punishment that used to be meted out, where a person will be laid out in stakes in the desert under the hot sun, and you could not actually be more vulnerable than being laid out, staked out in the sun, naked. Okay, that's the card. So again, we've got the darkness at the top here, just like in the Rider-Waite Smith. We've got the swords piercing through, and if you notice, I am covering it up, I know, but if you notice, that sword there is going deep into the heart and into the head. So those two are connected, the heart and the head, obviously. You know, if we're emotionally wounded, then the mind tries to make sense of it. And so here we are, totally exposed. No hiding. I'm going to actually put something over the appendage, which is counterproductive, really, I suppose, because the whole point of the fact is that this person is naked. The card title is called Delusion, and it says the curtain of illusion has fallen, and there you are on stage. The audience sees through you. They're laughing, sneering, booing, pointing at you and throwing things. A line snaps and the clothes rip from your body. More laughing and sneering. It's over. The jig's up. Your worst fear has been exposed to the cruel eyes of the world. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. In the card, a naked figure is run through with 10 swords as the blood-red curtain of denial falls away, abandoning him. This is the kind of death that happens when our most cherished illusions are shorn from us. Nobody is buying the ruse anymore, and the mind slowly awakens to the tricks of its owner. It turns to pierce denial and get at the truth. The 10 swords of harsh reality gore the figure, and the mask drops, exposing a tender layer of skin to the light for the first time. In the hellish background, his nightmares run rampant. He reels and faints and floats in the netherworld of fear and loss. But soon he will realise that this too is simply a nightmare, and that it is the duty of the swords to prick our vanity, even if the experience is painful. The resulting clarity will allow him to begin the difficult process of healing the wounds he has concealed behind fanciful illusions. So basically, who are we kidding? This is all about the ego, really, isn't it? I'm just taking the card away. This is all about the ego, the way we like to be seen. And when we're exposed, we feel very, very vulnerable. And I think that really illustrates it perfectly and dramatically. Here in the New Era Elements Tarot, which is a Thoth-based tarot, Eleanor F. Pieper, we have this card here with vultures picking over old bones. So there's nothing left, really, is there? You know, it's pointless going over and over the same old thoughts because you're not going to get anywhere. And so these vultures at the top here have sort of realised that, and they're looking for their next meal. Whereas this one is just picking over old bones, and there's no meat on them. There's nothing to be gained, in other words, from staying in this place of destruction, where we're just really repeating toxic behaviour patterns and feeling ineffective. Totally ineffective. It's like there's nothing we can do. A little quick look at the Liber T Tarot, which again is another Thoth-based deck. This one hasn't really got information. It does lack information, I think. It's got a little white book, but that's about it. So, let's find it, Princess. There we go. 10 of Swords. So as I say, it's a Thoth based deck, very little information. But I think what's interesting here, again we've got the broken sword and it's broken through the heart. It can't pierce that heart without breaking. Interesting. But here it looks like we've got the twins again. And they're in conflict. We've got almost religion, iconography there. We've still got the compasses, I think. We've got the Libra there, out of balance. And we have an Egyptian goddess. Beautiful imagery. And of course the sun in Gemini. So that's a beautiful Liber T Tarot of Stars Eternal. I do love the imagery in this deck. I just wish there was a better guidebook, because you know it's full of symbolism, but then it's based on Thoth, so one would presume if you know Thoth, then you would be able to read with this deck. Then I had a little look at the Shimmering Veil Tarot, Silicon Way. Beautiful, I love this deck. It opens up this way. So these are separated into their elements. So this is Air 10 and this is the image. And as I said before, you know, what happens when we have too much sun is a thunderstorm. And here is a figure under a deluge of rain. And so it's become way too hot. A figure lies prone. Zoom in. A figure lies prone under dagger-sharp rain or hail. It is unclear if this figure is unconscious or even dead. Either way, it's a troubling image. However, Air 10 is usually more of a warning of difficult external events that affect us. For instance, a political storm or some other damaging world situation. And that is quite interesting in the fact that, according to Marcus Katz in Secrets of the Thoth Tarot, which is this book here, the timeline when the Thoth card was being painted by Lady Frida Harris, zoom back out again, apparently it's the very same day that Russia invaded Poland. So that really ties in well with Silicon Way's take on the card. These, you know, synchronicities are just mind-blowing sometimes. I thought I had as well, sort of on a positive note, if you like, is because a lot of these texts are saying that the healing comes after the hurt. And so that sort of made me think. The swords always make me think of surgeons. That's just my take. I always think of the surgeon's knife. And here I was thinking that maybe, you know, heart surgery, possibly. Oh, if we get in. You know, maybe heart surgery. And so, you know, although we've had pain, physical pain, if we go down that road, there's an outcome to that pain. We have a healed heart, if it was heart surgery. So it was just a thought. And of course, each new perspective or lesson learned is helpful, really, because based on that, we can make better decisions going forward. You know, we've gained this knowledge and we've had to face a challenge or 10 that may have floored us temporarily, but we're getting back up and we're learning from it and hopefully taking that knowledge forward so we don't repeat toxic thoughts, toxic behaviour patterns. Because life is all about learning and growing. It's, you know, and changes are not always comfortable, are they? So we need to process our feelings, really. You know, think long and hard about ending this situation that has brought this to the fore. And a 10 is Malkut in the Tree of Life. It's the end. It's the Wheel of Fortune, 10, isn't it? So, you know, we're up, we're down. So we're not always going to be down. The wheel will turn and we'll climb back up again out of this situation. And these thoughts really have outgrown their usefulness, and it's time to let them go. Yeah, we can try to understand as much as we like. We've got an inverted pentagram down here at the bottom of the sword, if you can see it. But yeah, it's there actually, an inverted pentagram where the material world has overtaken the spirit, and that's where we've gone wrong, really. I just wanted to read a little passage from Tarot and Astrology, this book here, because it talks about Gemini in relation to the Ten of Swords and their personalities. And it says, it seems the artist was trying to depict the extraordinary quality of persistent fortitude that is one of the chief characteristics of this personality. You can get them down, but you can't lick them. The Gemini tens have staying power and tremendous resistance. They never know when they are beaten, and as they possess very fine positive qualities and considerable personal charm, they have a way of getting what they want in the end. They make good friends and formidable enemies because they never acknowledge defeat. So on to the crystals. And yep, Crystal Magic Tarot, Kerry Ward and Claire Gregory. And so let's find the cards. So we have tourmalated quartz, as I said, for the lovers. There we go. Citrine for the sun. And the card itself is here, Ten of Swords. And as I said, black kyanite, also known as the Witch's Broom. That's the card image. Now then, Ten of Swords. Black kyanite is the cord cutter. Often it comes in brittle shards that look like a primitive knife. Perfect for cutting energetic cords with people or problems you do not want to be tied to. Black kyanite is also grounding, protecting, and deflects negative energy away from you. Use black kyanite as a talisman if someone around you is negatively affecting you or draining your energy. You can even swoosh it through the air around you and imagine unseen spider webs of attachment falling away from you as you go, cutting the ties that you no longer wish to hold to you. So that is one way of actually dealing with this energy if you want to do some cord cutting. Personally, I would say my advice in this sort of situation is to cleanse and protect yourself, and you can do that in a number of ways. You can use smoke and cleanse your aura, which will cleanse any negative energy around you. So you could use Palo Santo. Actually, let me find some. Here we go. So I've got a feather here. I've got some Palo Santo here, which you can see I've used. And you can burn this and so get the smoke, and then use the feather and go all the way around yourself to cleanse your energy. Brilliant thing to do. If you haven't got Palo Santo, you can use sage. Have some sage. It's white sage, or even lavender, which I have here. Lavender. So that's one way of cleansing your energy. You can protect your energy by using crystals, and the crystals I would recommend would be black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is a brilliant one for shielding, and I think shielding is the way to go, really. So not taking it all on board. I did actually get out 3 other decks. Should we have a little look at these just before we go for a bit of fun? I don't want to end on negative notes, really, so I thought I'd get a few other decks to have a little look at. So we've got Tower of Mystical Moments. Beautiful, love this deck. I showed the tower from this in the last Decan video. Let's find the one in here. And I think this clearly illustrates the fact that it's messing with our head. This energy is definitely messing with our head. We're all having a little go. And this wonderful lady with her wonderful hairstyle is not going to fall apart. She's down, but she's not out. So that's beautiful sun energy in Gemini. That was the Tarot of Mystical Moments by Katrin Stein. Beautiful whimsical deck, I love it. So I thought we'd have a little look at some Fae energy. So we have Tarot of the She. So how would the She react given this situation? This is an Emily Carding deck. Okay, Dreamer 10. So Dreamer are air elements. Look at that. It's incredible, isn't it? So we can see devastation there, but it's not the end. You can see the sun. So all must bleed and melt away before the dawning of the day. The tree must fall in land forlorn. This dream must die to be reborn. The keywords are closure, endings, resolution, depression, exhaustion, death and clearing. And so we can see the ace again here with a sword. So it's not the end. And then let's finally look at this beautiful Tarot de St Croix by Liber de St Croix. So this is the image, which is interesting because the face down position is in water, so it's in the emotions, whereas the face up is in the air. And there's a sort of a balance there between the two, which brings us back really to the Libra elements in the Thoth deck with those scales there. There's a nice nod to it, whether that's intentional or not, I'm not sure. And so, what does it say? A reflection of a figure floats face down, drowning in despair with an old moon fading. Meanwhile, the figure rises above, facing a new moon. Meaning, this is the end of tired, worn-out ways of thinking. We can rise above our old, unhealthy victim mentality, supported by the lessons learned. And that's where I'm going to end, on that positive note. So, lessons learned, and we will rise above the situation. Leave the old moon behind and look to the new moon. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained from something from my little video that illuminated this card for you in some way, shape or form. And it's not an easy card. But there we are. That's my little take on the Ten of Swords. So thank you so much for watching. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye friends. Bye.